Welcome back to Breakfast. It's 7:45. What a morning, right? But back here in New Zealand, nearly 2 months on from Auckland's flooding and Cyclone Gabrielle, many Kiwis are still not back in their homes. Muriwai Stickered Residents Group Chairman Mike Hibbert says communication with insurance companies is waning.
So we live at Muriwai, and we've lived there for like 10 years under quite a steep cliff. And on the night of the big rain, I think it was the 13th of February, the slips just came down from behind us. We could hear trees crashing, falling down the bank. And we had a lot of contact with friends ringing us and texting us, telling them that they were evacuating. And we could see flashing lights on the road as emergency services were going backwards and forwards. So we bundled up our family and jumped in the car and went down to the surf club where everyone was being evacuated. It seems like such a long time ago. Now it's about 7 weeks. At the beginning, insurance went quite well. There were a few delays getting claims through and getting response from them, but they made a real effort to come into the community and have a presence here. So we had a talk with them and learned a little bit about the emergency alternative accommodation parts of the policy, which was really helpful, gave us a little bit of money to help us get into rental accommodation. There wasn't much we could claim because our house isn't actually damaged. We're just under the imminent threat of further slips. So we couldn't really do a house claim. Our contents claim couldn't really do that because we hadn't lost any contents, hadn't been stolen, there wasn't a fire. So all we managed to claim for was the food that was in our refrigerator and our freezer that was defrosting. We're very much in the hands of the council and central government to decide on what our futures are. I mean, none of the community's insurance policies cover this kind of natural disaster situation. So, we pay our insurance our whole lives. We think that we've got something that that will cover us in emergencies, but there's just nothing. There's nothing in those policies to help us in a situation like this. So we are very much in the hands of the government, in the hands of the council to work out what our futures look like, which is a really horrible feeling.
Mike Hibbert from Muriwai speaking there. Now, new insurance data is helping paint a picture of the widespread damage caused by these climate events. It's expected to cost a whopping $2.5 billion. So for more, we're joined by Insurance Council of New Zealand Chief Executive Tim Grafton. Good morning, Tim. Thank you so much for being with us this morning. It's not lovely hearing Mike talk there about the issues that they're facing when claiming insurance. How are things tracking at the moment?
Morena, Matty. We can come back to Mike's issues in a moment, but currently we have put back about $400 million into people's pockets after these events. That's a tad under an average of $10 million a day, which I think sort of speaks to the value of insurance at these times. But at the same time, I want to have a reset of expectations that, that clearly there are going to be some houses that will take a long time to get to the end of the settlement journey. And the reasons for that are mixed. So clearly there are areas where there have been significant landslips. Geotechnical reports get commissioned. They can take weeks to come out and assess what the remediation, area-wide remediation to the land may be, or alternatively, if there's no feasible option there, what you might have to do is consider options like relocation. In those situations, insurance just has to wait and see what the outcome of that process is. In the Hawke's Bay, we've got many properties damaged by pretty much mountains of silt and extensive floodwaters. You've got to let timber dry out before you can even start any fix of properties. That can take 2 to 3 months. And then after that, there's the major repairs that take place. So just adjusting expectations, it's going to be a long journey for some house owners, and we have 50,000 houses damaged.
Yeah, although, you talk about weeks to paint a picture of some of the damage. It's been weeks. You know, it's been 7 weeks since Cyclone Gabrielle, more than 2 months since those Auckland flooding events, and I was looking at the numbers. Only 15% of claims have been settled so far. Is that what you would expect? It seems like a low number so far, Tim.
Yeah. So just to explain, the easy low-picking fruit in terms of settlement are cars that were flooded. We know the sum's insured. We can settle those pretty quickly. And similarly, with some of the contents claims, people have provided pictures, the sum's insured for contents and that can be paid out. When it comes to damage to properties, you've got to get in there, you've got to assess the level of loss and damage and how long and the cost of what it's going to take to repair. So that's why that takes longer. And so the 15% is the easy pickings, if you like, in terms of being able to respond to customers quickly. 400 million, almost $10 million a day. And that's valuable money going back into the community, so don't underestimate that. But at the same time, reset of expectations that some properties will be well into 2024 before they're at the end of the journey, and possibly longer, depending on how challenging some of the property damages to address.
So just really quickly, Tim, give people an estimated timeline, a realistic timeline of how long they might be waiting.
Well, many properties will get settled over the next several months. There's no doubt about that. But I don't want people to go away thinking that, everything's going to be sorted by the end of this year. That's not going to happen. There will be properties that have been badly damaged, which will take a long time to go through. And then again, there are questions been raised as to whether or not properties ought to be relocated. That's another set of complex issues that need to be worked through as well. So, and that's not an issue necessarily for insurance to be deciding on, it's central government.
Tim, we appreciate your time this morning. That's Tim Grafton from the Insurance Council of New Zealand. Thank you so much for being with us this morning.
Thanks, Matty. Cheers.